Good morning, Internet friendos, and welcome to another episode of Life According to Joel. On today's episode, we're going to talk about being self-aware and the ability through introspection to change your life and make sure that things that don't work for you anymore get blown out, and things that do work for you get accentuated. Basically, the ability for one to look at themselves logically through a third-party perspective, psychoanalyze themselves, break them down, and fix issues or improve upon issues that need to be improved upon in order so that you can reach your goals in both career and in life. So, why don't you join me on today's episode of Life According to Joel? Here.
I've gotten chillaxed, and now it's time to introduce this topic today and what brings me to this topic. So last week, I had something occur where I lost a very valued relationship, friendship, and when I lost that friendship, I actually was extremely overjoyed and happy in the morning that followed. And I shouldn't have been. And so when that occurred, and I was extremely happy, I decided that I had to stop, evaluate the situation, and get introspective and break down why I felt the way I did. And to understand my own thought process and understand why not getting what I wanted actually made me happy, and how perhaps I may have self-sabotaged myself, or perhaps it wasn't self-sabotage at all. But the fact is, I knew that my emotions did not line up with my objective at the time, which is like, you're like, ooh, I have a very valued friend, and then you're like, ooh, I lost that friend, I should be super down about it, why am I not down about it? And so I sought out a counselor, and now I am evaluating why I felt the way I did. And some people are like, how is it that I am in the top 15% of autistic individuals? How is it that I went through foster care, come from below the poverty level, and have managed to succeed as an assistant director in the film industry? And how is it that I'm going to become an executive producer down in Los Angeles? And I call myself Autistic Superman, and I mean that's just me being a narcissist, but I think it's important to support yourself and to pump yourself up and to remind yourself that you're going to succeed. And one of the ways that I succeed is by being introspective. And introspective is taking things in your life, even when things are good, and going, you know what, this is not actually helping me move towards my goal. This about myself, or this emotional problem, or this autistic problem, or this fiscal problem, or dietary problem is not moving me towards my objective. And in this case, my objective is Los Angeles and becoming an executive producer. And my secondary goal is to have a family and have strong, solid friends. And so if I have problems with relationships, which I know I do, then understandably, I need to evaluate that to ensure that I continue to be surrounded by loving, supportive friends and family, and that I one day have a family, wife, kid, yeah. In order to achieve that goal, I need to address my issues. So I'm now seeing a counselor. And what is important about seeing a counselor? And some people are ashamed sometimes to go see counselors, but the fact of the matter is, the first way of solving a problem is acknowledging that there's a problem. And the only way I got into the film industry from foster care and from below the poverty level is by stopping every few months and reassessing why I'm not where I want to be. After I graduated from high school, I was like, oh, I can't go into the film industry. And everybody was like, film is unrealistic. You won't succeed in film. You can't go into film. It's blah, 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 blah. And I let that crap hold me down for a little while, and I became a private security contractor, and I became a church leader. But after a little while, I had to assess that. And I had to be like, you know what, is that true? Because I'm not happy doing what I'm doing right now. I'm not happy being a security contractor. I'm not happy being a church leader. Now, there's nothing wrong with being a church leader. Being a church leader can be great. You are helping people. It is a meaningful job, assuming you're not a bigot. Everybody's a hypocrite, but an overly hypocritical bigot is not good. But anyways, I digress. Being a church leader can be fulfilling, but that's not where I wanted to be. Ever since I was a kid, I wanted to be an executive producer of film, television, and video games. I wanted to impact people's lives on a massive global scale. I've always been a globalist. And so every few months in my life, I've been like, okay, what is moving me towards that goal and what is moving me away from that goal? And by making adjustments to my life, I was able to go to VFS, Vancouver Film School. I was able to come out and start ADing. I was able to move up from a production assistant to a TAD, to a third assistant director, and now I'm trying to become a producer assistant. And it's always because every few months I'm like, okay, stop, evaluate, how am I going to move forward? What is holding me back? Last year, I shed 40 pounds, whoop whoop! And that was because I was dealing with harassment at the time. A guy who was trying to have sex with a former friend of mine, her best friend. He used my autism to try to scare her and tried to play white knight. At least that's what I think happened. And he sent me a lot of disgusting and harassing texts, including talking about murdering people. He talked about my weight. He told me I'm unlovable. He at one point caused me to throw up all over set because he was, well, not on set. I had to step off to first aid, but I didn't make it quite there. I threw up in a garbage can. And I was just being harassed constantly by this guy. And so for me, I had always been a little sensitive of my weight. And so I went, you know what? I'm going to do something about this. And I shed 40 pounds. And the guy who was harassing me was way heavier than me now. He's a fat ass. I'm skinny. And the women I ask out now are all about my same physicality. I'm not ripped, I'm not muscular, but when I go and ask somebody out, I know that we are roughly as attractive as each other and that we roughly spend about as much effort on being physically fit. And we both care about our hygiene and looking good, etc., etc. And so for me, my goal in that situation was to feel better about myself and to help me achieve my goal, which was being loved at that time. And so I made that goal happen. I lost 40 pounds. I am now attractive. I got compliments on my ass. It was great. And why do I say that is so important? A lot of people, when I lost the weight, they were like, whoa, 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 this is such a big success story. This doesn't happen. Like, wow, they're so proud of me. And the thing is, as much as I love people being proud of me, to me, I had a problem, which was I was overweight. And being overweight isn't healthy. I'm not a body positivity guy. I do not believe in the whole supporting obesity and unhealthy habits. I do think that it's important to support people in their biological makeup and how they naturally look. So if it's your natural build and you naturally look a certain way, power to you, love it. However, dietary and exercise issues aren't natural, and I think it's important to enforce healthy body standards. And so for me, I had an unhealthy body. I was overweight, and it was not only an issue for my relationships, it was an issue for my heart, it was an issue for my health, and I needed to lose that weight. And stopping and saying, hey, you know what, I need to evaluate this situation. Is my weight a problem? And then going, you know what, my weight is a problem, I gotta clear it out. That kind of introspection helps me move forward. And so now that I'm in counseling, I'm finding out a lot about my failed coping mechanisms, because as an autistic person in relationships, especially with neurotypicals, I miss a lot of communication, and I struggle with something called sensory overload as well as social anxiety. And social anxiety and sensory overload trigger part of my brain which causes physiological issues when I'm confused or I'm having communication problems with a neurotypical. And I found out when I'm confused, that actually physically hurts me. It manifests itself in the form of headaches, it manifests itself in the form of shortness of breath and high heartbeats and like irritability and insomnia and all kinds of other issues that really suck for me. But one thing I've found out is to escape that situation where I'm in physical pain and physical discomfort, I tend to nuke my relationships when miscommunication drags on too long. The coping mechanism is causing me to drive people away who may or may not have my best interest at heart, who may or may not be legitimate friends, who may or may not be a legitimate love interest, regardless of the situation, whether they're male or female. When I have miscommunication issues with a neurotypical, and those miscommunication issues continue for a prolonged period of time, they cause me prolonged physical distress. And it escalates over time to the point where that relationship is no longer in my best interest, or that relationship needs to be changed up dramatically. And sometimes that requires a relationship ending for something to happen. And so what I've realized is my failed coping mechanism is to nuke those relationships where miscommunication is an issue. Is that healthy? And that's what I'm trying to figure out right now. Is it healthy to nuke a relationship where a neurotypical is not properly communicating with an atypical, and it's causing anxiety issues, and it's causing discomfort and physical distress? I have to figure that out because honestly, you can't have a situation where neurotypical and atypical communication is causing that kind of distress just continue to go on and on and on. And so for me, as I move forward and I go down to LA, etc., it's important for me to figure out how to navigate friendships and romantic relationships in a way where I can be like, okay, you know what? In order for me to move towards my objective, which is a career as an executive producer and hopefully a loving family, wife and kid, and loving friends, I need to know how to deal with that miscommunication and how to not nuke relationships or nuke the right relationships and keep the ones that are worth saving. And so that's introspection, and that's what I've learned this past week, is that I have to evaluate my own coping mechanisms and how they may or may not be preventing me from achieving what I want to achieve. And so introspection for you, I'm not exactly sure what that means, but I would suggest that you look in a mirror, look hard at yourself, maybe write down a 20-year plan. So what I do is I write down a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, and a 20-year plan. And my 5-year plan, if 2 or 3 years into my 5-year plan, I'm like, you know what, I'm not on track to be where I wanted to be in 5 years, I do something dramatic. So I wanted to produce a film within 5 years of grad. And everybody told me when I was graduating from film school, you can't produce a film within 5 years of grad. And 3 years in, I produced a television pilot, but I hadn't done a feature yet. And so I grabbed a bunch of friends together, grabbed a bunch of my money, and we produced a feature. Now it hasn't been released. We didn't release it theatrically for reasons. It didn't align with my values and my brand as a producer. However, it was completed. And so I took that and I achieved everything I had set out to achieve within the first 5 years of graduating from film school. And so by creating a 5-year, 10-year, and 20-year roadmap, you can be honest with yourself and be like, okay, this is where I wanted to be. This is where I am. What is holding me back? What do I need to change? Do I need to change my diet? Do I need to change the way I talk? Do I need to change the music I'm listening to? Do I need to go out hiking more? Do I need to maybe change a friendship around? Which changes in my life do I need to make to achieve what I want to achieve? And so in the past I did an episode on dreams and being a dreamer. And today on introspection is very much, if you want to achieve your dreams, you have to be able to look at yourself honestly and be like, this is a problem. This is a problem. This is a problem, even when you're comfortable, even when you're happy. And if you're happy and you shouldn't be happy, that's when you have to go like, is my happiness at this given moment a problem? Or is this happiness addressing an issue? Am I happy? Why am I happy? And when you can understand why you're happy or why you're sad or why you're upset or why you're not achieving something, you can come in and you can find the problem, address the problem, snuff that problem out, and move forward to achieving what you want to achieve. So let's close with, be honest with yourself, okay? And now I'm not saying be depressed. I'm not saying look in the mirror and become anorexic and like, do not be unhealthy, okay? Please do not. Do not take that message away from this. But be honest with yourself. Where do you want to go? What is holding you back? Have a great day, folks, and I hope you enjoyed this episode.